Everyone is welcome to the movie review. We remind you with love, you can subscribe us to watch the latest videos that we upload. And don't forget to click the bell icon. Today, I am going to explain the movie John Carter, which was released in 2012. So let's go to the movie. In 1881, in the busy streets of New York City, a man flees from another man and anxiously enters a building. He pays extra to send a telegram urgently. Upon receiving the telegram, a young man named Edgar Rice Burroughs is urged by his uncle to hasten to his aid. He travels to his uncle's grand estate, where a lawyer informs him that his uncle, John Carter, has passed away suddenly and bequeathed everything to him. The lawyer hands Burroughs an old diary. The young man begins reading the diary and discovers that the story takes place in Arizona after the Civil War. John Carter, a former Confederate Army captain and decorated soldier, is searching for gold. The locals show hostility towards him, and Colonel Powell of the cavalry tries to conscript him to fight the Apache, but Carter refuses. After several failed escape attempts, he manages to flee Fort Grant on Colonel Powell's horse by tricking a cell guard and knocking him out. Powell and the cavalry pursue him, but they are forced to stop when they see that Carter has encountered a group of mounted Apache warriors. Both sides are armed and cautious, and a language barrier intensifies the tension. A shootout ensues, during which Carter seizes the opportunity to escape. However, he returns to rescue the wounded Powell, who was shot during the fight. Carter and Powell flee into a place and discover a small cave. The Apache warriors approach but retreat after seeing something on the rock above the cave. Perplexed, Carter investigates and spots the spider symbol on the rock face. He leaves Powell at the entrance and ventures deeper into the cave, where he discovers a chamber adorned with unusual markings, with the walls and roof adorned with gold. He becomes fascinated with the discovery and fails to notice a stranger who sneaks up behind him. Powell almost fails to warn him in time, but they manage to engage in a fight with the bald stranger, who appears in a glowing robe and wields a knife that seemingly materializes out of nowhere. After a struggle, Carter shoots the bald man and retrieves a blue glowing medallion. Reciting the words he heard the stranger say, he suddenly awakens in a strange desert. Carter struggles to walk and appears to float for a few minutes in an unfamiliar environment. He realizes later that the gravity on Mars is much lower than he is accustomed to, although he is not yet aware of this. As he climbs a nearby hill, he stumbles upon a nest of eggs that is hatching six-limbed, green infants. He is about to leave when a group of green creatures approach him. They are armed with firearms and mounted on large beasts, and they open fire on Carter until one of them orders them to cease fire. The tall, four-armed green alien puts down his sword and rifle and introduces himself as Taras Tarkas, the Jeddak or leader of his tribe. Despite the language barrier, the two exchange names. Tarkas recognizes that Carter is not from their planet and asks him to jump. Carter tries to grab Tarkas' weapons, but he is overpowered before he can fight back. Once again, Tarkas orders the rest of his group to spare Carter, and they collect the hatchlings while killing the unhatched eggs. They take Carter to their home in the ruins of an ancient city. But by this point, Carter is completely out of his depth and horrified by what he has witnessed. He longs to go home and knows that the medallion is likely the only way to do so. Unfortunately, Tarkas has retrieved the medallion and wears it. In the city, other Tharks treat Carter roughly and do not recognize what type of being he is. They view his lack of language comprehension as a sign that he is an animal or a baby. Consequently, they throw him in with the hatchlings. As per Thark custom, the babies are released to the mob, and whoever catches one becomes the parent of the hatchling. Carter is given to Sola, a female who is viewed with contempt by the other Tharks, particularly another female called Sarkoja. After Carter is cleaned and put inside a pit to rest with the other babies, Sarkoja pours a liquid into his mouth. This enables him to speak and understand the local language. In a distant location, humanoid airships engage in a fierce battle with one side adorned in blue and the other in red. On a red ship, General Sab Chen is approached by three bald individuals who present him with a blue mesh device, granting him the power to shoot energy bolts. However, as he tries to use the device to attack the three figures, he is instead propelled backwards. The three figures, revealed to be Therns and representatives of the goddess, laugh at his attempt. They inform Sabdan that the goddess has chosen to support him in the ongoing conflict. Made Shang, the leader of the Therns, encourages the general to test his newfound powers. Sab then unleashes a barrage of energy bolts on the enemy airships, resulting in a victory for his side. At the royal palace of Helium, Dejah Thoris is rehearsing a speech while her father Tardos Mors, the Jeddak of Helium, argues with his entourage about their enemy Zidanga's new power. Dejah showcases a device that generates a weak blue ray, which she calls the Ninth Ray and claims is the source of Zidanga's power. While the group discusses its potential uses, a disguised Learn discreetly sabotages the device, causing it to fail. Tardos understands the significance of this power, but they have no time to research it further. He dismisses the group and reveals that Dejah must marry Sab then to end the conflict. Dejah is devastated since she knows that the wedding is unlikely to stop Zodang and expansion, and that she won't be able to continue her research after getting married. Returning to Tharkville, Carter is accompanied by his guardian, Woola, a large creature that follows him everywhere he goes. Despite his annoyance, Carter is searching for Tars Tarkas to retrieve the medallion. However, Woola's noisy presence foils Carter's plans and he inadvertently jumps into a Thark party. Woola follows him and causes a disturbance, resulting in the Tharks beating Woola and his owner, Sola. Fueled by anger, Carter intervenes and unintentionally kills a Thark, demonstrating his impressive jumping abilities. While the Tharks see Carter as a valuable weapon, they blame Sola for his escape and brand her for her mistake the next day. Carter is horrified as he watches the Tharks warn Sola that any further offenses will result in death due to her lack of space on her branded skin. The Tharks become alert when a lookout warns of approaching airships. 3 aerial battleships come into view, 2 of them marked with red flags representing Zodanga and 1 with a blue flag representing helium. They draw near for hand-to-hand combat and boarding parties. Tars Tarkas watches through a telescope and explains the ongoing war to Carter, where the Zodangans are fighting against the Heliumites. On the helium ship, Dejah Thoris tries to escape, but falls and hangs on several hundred feet above. Carter, realizing she is human, jumps to her rescue. Using his extraordinary jumping abilities, he saves the girl and starts to protect her, but she is more than capable of fighting for herself. Though Carter manages to turn the battle in their favor, the blue helium vessel eventually crashes. After this event, Tars Tarkas declares Carter as his daughter Sajat or right arm, and as a result, awards him Dejah Thoris as a prize. Tars Tarkas' rival Tal Hagis, an angry warrior with a broken tusk, disapproves of this decision. Carter is reminded of Powell and initially refuses the position. However, Tarkas warns him that if he refuses, he would be unable to spare Dejah's life, so Carter reluctantly agrees. Soon, he finds himself fending off everyone's inquiries about his ability to jump. Dejah expresses her desire to learn how to jump like Carter, but he tells her it is not possible due to her different bone density. Tarkas warns Carter against Dejah, believing she is trying to gain a new weapon for helium. Carter just wants to go home, but when he describes his home to Dejah, she thinks he is insane or a liar as he describes an environment that hasn't existed for thousands of years on Mars, which she calls Barsoom. They eventually discover that Carter is from Earth, which she calls Jassoom. If it's possible to travel between worlds, the Therns might have the answer. Despite Sola's objections, Carter and Dejah Thoris enter a cave, believed to be a temple of the goddess and her followers, the Therns. Dejah deciphers some ancient inscriptions, but they are caught by the Tharks before they can investigate further. Tarkas takes great risks to help them escape, and Carter realizes that Sola is his daughter. Since the Thark tradition involves raising their young in isolation and anonymity, it's evident that many rules must have been broken. Sola, Carter, and Dejah Thoris travel to the river Is to unravel the temple's mystery, carrying the medallion. While on the journey, Sola warns Carter about Dejah Thoris potentially leading them off course. When confronted, Dejah Thoris admits that they were headed for helium, and a frustrated Carter contemplates abandoning her, realizing she may have manipulated him to become her weapon in the battle. Despite Dejah's pleading, he persists until she discloses that she is the Helium Princess, likely to be married off to the Zodangan prince and potentially killed. Carter ultimately agrees to give her time and decides to go to Is first. The river serves as a route for pilgrims, where those who have sinned or lived for too long follow the river to end their lives and attain paradise. While on their journey, Sola contemplates joining the Tharks she sees sailing away, and the bodies on the ground, but Carter intervenes to stop her. The duo travel up the winding river and discover an inverted pyramid structure. Inside, they see glowing blue graphics of the solar system. Dejah Thoris recognizes that the blue light is not magical but rather artificially generated by machines using the ninth ray, the same one that she had been studying and that their enemies had been using as a weapon. They also come to the realization that Carter's presence on Mars may be the result of his transmission as a copy from Earth to Mars. As an army of Tharks led by Man-I Shang approaches, Carter, Dejah Thoris, and Sola mount up and prepare to flee. Despite Dejah Thoris' objections, Carter stays behind to fight off the army with the help of Woola. As he fights, memories of the devastation of war and the loss of his family resurface. Though he manages to kill many, he is eventually overwhelmed. However, just as the Tharks are about to finish him off, a helium battle cruiser arrives and Tardos, Mors, and Sab then disembark. Sab then offers Dejothoris his sword as a sign of trust and asks her to marry him, but she almost kills him in response. Instead, she orders that they take the wounded Carter to Zidanga for medical treatment. Carter wakes up in a guarded room and mistakes it for helium. But the red-clothed guards laugh at him, revealing that he is actually in enemy territory, Zidanga. Kanto's Kan, a man dressed in blue, arrives and orders for Carter to be put under higher security. He then whispers to Carter to take him hostage, but Carter is too confused to comply, and an exasperated Kantos pretends to be held hostage as he leads Carter away from the guards. Carter and Kantos Kan jump to a nearby tower where Dejothoris is dressed in wedding finery. After thanking Kantos for bringing Carter to her, she dismisses everyone in the room and again asks Carter to fight on her side. He refuses again, and she sees the wedding ring on his finger. Understanding that his heart belonged to another but now knowing that the other woman is dead, Dejothoris tells him the magic words that will transport him back to Earth. As Zodang guards demand entry, the door opens to reveal that Carter has vanished. Dejothoris and the others leave, but the matron of the chamber returns to the room, only to find that Carter has escaped. Later, Carter is immobilized by a blue ray and captured by Matai Shang, the Thurn leader. Matai Shang forces Carter to come with him and explains how the Thurns are managing the end of Mars. During a wedding procession traffic jam, Matai Shang changes into a Zodang officer and leads Carter outside to watch Dejothoris being paraded down a street. Then, Shang changes into an elderly woman and tells Carter that after the marriage, Dejothoris and anyone else who knows about the ninth ray will be killed. Suddenly, Woola arrives in a flurry and manages to disable Shang's restraint, allowing Carter to escape on the light flyer. After a hair-raising chase, he crash lands close to Sola. Recognizing that he is unable to take on the Zodang military or the Thurns alone, he decides to return to Tharkville and ask for the Tharks' assistance. Upon arriving, however, the Tharks throw Carter in jail, where he meets an imprisoned Tars Tarkas, also in chains. Tarkas explains to Carter that he had been overthrown by Tal Hagis, who has only one tusk. Tarkas is angry when he learns that Carter brought Sola back, and would have killed him if he hadn't been beaten and weakened. The prisoners are then taken to a large coliseum, where they are forced to fight first one, then a pair of giant white apes. Sola causes a distraction in the stands, which allows Carter to kill both beasts. As the Tharks cheer for him, Carter challenges Tal Hagis for the role of Jeddak. He beheads Tal Hagis with one swift stroke and becomes the Jeddak of the Tharks, with an army willing to fight for him. Leading the Tharks, Carter returns to Zidanga to stop the wedding, but finds the city deserted as everyone has already gone to Helium. Tars Tarkas expresses his disappointment and slaps Carter for his foolishness. Carter points to the airships, but the Tharks refuse to follow him, so he takes off in a light flyer by himself. Zodang guards mistake him for one of their own and allow him to pass. As the wedding ceremony is about to conclude, Carter crashes in. But it is too late as the signal has been sent. Zodangans attack the Heliumites, and Matai Shang and his blue ray appear invincible. Suddenly, a large alien aircraft crashes in, and the Tharks disembark to follow their leader. The Heliumites and Tharks unite to fight off the Zodangans. Matai Shang escapes, but Carter recovers the medallion. In the midst of the battle, Sab then is killed by the blue device he desired so much. After the battle is won, Carter proposes to Dejothoris with the wedding ring and she accepts. The people of Helium and Thark celebrate their union. Later that night, unable to sleep, Carter goes outside and tosses the medallion into the canyon. As he returns to his room, a guard thanks him and unexpectedly transforms into Matai Shang. The Thurn leader sends Carter back to Arizona, where he wakes up disheveled and bearded. The cave is now deserted except for the Colonel's skeletal remains, and the gold and the Thurn's body are nowhere to be found. Carter's story continues, and he realizes that there may be other Thurns on Earth. He spends the next 10 years searching for another medallion, and appears to find something in the Orkneys. He prepares a crypt on his estate so that he can safely leave his body on Earth and return to Mars. He entrusts his nephew Edgar with the task of keeping his body safe because the Thurns may try to attack it. One day, Edgar is being followed as he checks the crypt, and he is about to be killed by a Thurn when Carter appears and shoots the Thurn dead. Carter explains that he faked his death with a drug and used Edgar as bait to draw out the Thurn and obtain the medallion he needs to go back to Dejothoris. Carter tells Edgar that he will play an important role as the protector of his body on Earth as he returns to Mars with the medallion. With the medallion in his possession, Carter lies down in the crypt and recites the phrase to return to Barsoom. So, that's it. This is a very nice movie. If you haven't already watched it, you must watch it. You can do so by clicking the link in the description. Be sure to comment with your thoughts below. If the video feels good, then like this video. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified of our latest videos. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day.